everybody. Welcome to a brand new podcast here on the PFC Entertainment Network. We've talked about it, we've alluded to it, we've promoted it, and now here we are. Along with Pope Brandon Brownson, the incomparable one, I'm Jason Clouse, and we welcome you to the Potato Pals Perspective. This is going to be our individual takes on life as it happens in real time. We're going to have fun conversations. We're going to have light conversations. We're going to have deep conversations. And as we were talking off air before we started the recording of this, Hope, you and I come from different generations. You know, our age gap is of such where there is a significant difference in how I grew up, in the era that I grew up, and you. But I feel like somewhere in the middle, you and I have formed this incredible friendship, this incredible bond. And even though we are going to talk about things in the coming weeks here that you and I will not agree on, at the bottom line of it is there is mutual love, admiration, and respect for one another. So even though I may not agree with what you say and vice versa, I feel like something pretty catastrophic would have to happen in order to compromise our mutual friendship and respect. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. That's the entire reason that I thought this show would be a fantastic idea. I love the shit out of you. I think it's safe to say that you love the shit out of me.
You're all right.
And, yeah, okay, that's fair. Better than I get from my dad. Anyway.
Oh. Right out of the gate. Here we go.
Right out of the gate. Don't call it a comeback. I've had you hair for years, folks. Bungled the fucking delivery on that one.
It's all right.
It's all right. It's the first episode. This one's supposed to be a little shaky.
And listen, make no mistake. Yeah, I mean, it's going to take us a week or two to find our footing or whatever, but it's not like you and I individually have not had our hand in this type of environment. You know, you as you had talked about when you were on the Clouse to the Heart podcast just a couple of weeks ago, when we made the announcement that we were formally moving forward with this show. You've had your hands in a lot of different aspects of entertainment. You know, you are a musician, you create music, and you're very, very dialed into another podcast, Masks and Mayhem.
Yes, sir.
Now, for those who are listening, for those PFC Network fans who are checking this out for the first time and may have missed your appearance a couple of weeks ago on the flagship show, kind of give them a rundown of, real quick of, what you do, what you're doing with Masks and Mayhem, and what you expect with this show here on the network.
So to just go ahead and hit the full spiel, one sec, mouth a little dry. Yummy. Hello, my beautiful audience. Go ahead. What were you about to say, buddy?
I just wanted to say I appreciate the fact that it was a can of squirt. It does not get enough love these days.
It does not. There are so many low-hanging fruit jokes that could be made here about squirt, but I will simply say it is delicious, it is refreshing, I don't care that it's mostly pee. On that note, hello, my beautiful audience. My name is Pope Brandon Brownson, and might I say that you're looking fantastic today. Did you do something new with your hair? It looks great. So I am a internet busker, I believe is the easiest way to put it. I have done music, I have done producing, I'm occasionally a rapper, I'm occasionally a pop artist. I've done podcasts, I've done YouTube, I've done TikTok, I've done stand-up comedy. You name it, I've at least tried it. At this point, most of my energy and focus is on the more audio side of things. I am a producer, musician, artist, whatever you want to call it, under the name Pope Brandon Brownson. You can check me out on Spotify, iTunes, wherever you listen to music. I'm there, including the shit that I can't even pronounce. And I am also 1/4 of the show, Masks and Mayhem, a actual play podcast using Mutants and Masterminds, 3rd edition. We are not affiliated. No, I haven't done that introduction before.
Oh.
Which is essentially, to put it in more layman's terms, kind of an audio drama where I play a superhero. It's great. He's sad. Beyond that, God, what do I do? I've gotten really into bird watching. I still don't know what they're called, but I've discovered that I really like to look at them.
I can appreciate that. You know what that is, Pope? That is taking a moment and looking at life. Instead, not what happens on a screen, whether it be television, computer, phone, what have you. It's the screen of life outside your window, and I can really appreciate that. And I mean, I could seriously take this into a sidebar here, but before I do that, there's a lot of people when I have talked about, well, anytime that I have mentioned you in anything, I refer to you as Pope, right?
Yes,
So
you do.
I get asked the question quite often, why do they call him Pope? So to answer the $1 million question, let's get it from the man himself. Why do they call you Pope?
So many, many moons ago, when the internet was a much simpler place to keep track of, we're talking like 2010, 2011-ish. My friends would come to me whenever they had any form of question about internet culture. Hey, Pope, what's this meme all about? Hey, Pope, what does this abbreviation mean? Hey, Pope, what's the deal with this funny video, man? And because the internet was a simpler place to keep track of back then, I either knew or I understood where to go to find out this information. To the point where my friends began to refer to me as the Pope of the Internet. Which eventually just shorthanded to my friends just calling me Pope. Which me being like 2011 era internet took that as, this is great, I should turn this into my name on Facebook. And because I had done that, it got to the point where when people were introduced to me, you know, they didn't see Brandon Brownson, they saw Pope Brandon Brownson, so they just call me Pope. Like, funny enough, the whole me being called Pope in MWO thing, that was not a me choice. That is just how everyone had already known me because they added me on Facebook.
Yeah.
So by that point, like, that was just how people knew me. And to this day, it's like one of like the 5 or 6 different nicknames people use instead of my name. Like, 5 people use my name. And like, my mom and like my brother and sisters are not on that list.
Really?
Really. Unless I'm in trouble. Then it's the Brandon Matthew.
Oh, first and middle.
Oh yeah, if there is no just, hey Brandon, it's either hey Beach or Brandon Matthew. Oh.
I was sitting here thinking as you were laying that out, I don't know if I've ever, I don't think I've ever called you by your actual name. I remember the first time I heard your name and somebody had brought you up, you know, Pope Brandon Brownson. And I'm like, well, that's unique. You know, what, you don't hear Pope very often unless, you know, it's for obvious reasons. So I was like, oh, well, I mean, cool. I appreciate
that's a fun gimmick, brother.
Yeah, I appreciate the fact that he's coming into this thing with already that kind of fundamental mindset. So, I mean, from day one, I've called you Pope, and I I feel like if I ever call you by your real name, it's because of a serious nature.
I'd
And
agree
it would
with
have to be
that.
pretty serious.
I would very much agree with that. Now I'm so not used to hearing my name that like it's a 50-50 whether or not I'll respond to it. It's kind of hilarious.
Yeah.
Like the 3 people that actually call me my name, just hey Brandon. Shit, that's my name. That's right, that is me. Although it kind of works in my favor. I don't plan on keeping my name.
No.
My mom let me know not that long ago, like a year and a half ago, that she wanted to name me Damien, but she was talked out of it because Satan or something. You know, because the kid in the Omen was named Damien. And I'm sitting here thinking, dude, I'd have got so much more pussy in high school if my name was fucking Damien. Maybe if we change it now, we can.
Well, there's avenues to explore that option. To
There are. Those
change your name.
avenues cost $400 a pop, and that's why we ain't done it yet, baby.
It costs $400 to change your name.
Something like that, like $250 to $400.
You've looked into this.
I have.
Well, I mean, if this is something you're serious about, I feel like we will start gaining enough traction to where people will donate to Pope's name change fund. So why can we not incorporate that into a big fundraiser?
Look, don't get me wrong. If you don't think that all of my side hustles aren't just an avenue toward Pope getting fuck you money, then I don't know. You don't understand the hustle, baby.
Right.
If I'm lucky, one day I'll have enough money to where I'll get to change my name every week. This week I'm Horatio Goldstein. The IRS ain't getting shit out of me.
Oh man, that's. Hey, it's good to have goals, especially when we're in a new year here. 2024. The calendar flipped over just a couple of days ago as of this recording. I've made no bones about the fact. I don't know where you stand on this, but I've made no bones about the fact I am not a New Year's resolution guy, because I feel like resolutions, by and large, there are exceptions to the rule, but by and large, they're manifested out of perceived failure. Like it's okay to fall back on it or not put your all in because it's just a resolution. If you don't stick to whatever your plan is that you had laid out on December the 31st, it is what it is. I'm a goal-oriented guy. I don't set resolutions. I set goals for the new year. Where are you at on the whole New Year's resolution thing? Is New Year's a big deal to you? Did you party it up? Did you whoop it up here a number of nights ago?
I wouldn't say that I exactly whooped it up, but I did go out and hang out with a buddy for like the first time in a couple years. Wasn't anything big, just video games. We caught up on Invincible, show on Amazon that we liked. Smoked Halloween. Shit was great. But
Did you watch Ball Drop?
No, I did not. I had a fucking testicle joke on the tip of my tongue, and then I realized
I knew you did. I saw it on your face, and you're like, nope, I think I'm just going to back up a little bit.
Yeah, it's just, oh, the joke's right there. Oh, there's testicles on my tongue. But typically, the past few years before that, and it's actually really weird that that's not how I spent this year. New Year's for me is just a time of quiet contemplation. When I was younger, I used to go and party it up, get absolutely shit-faced. Cody Leedy, if you're listening to this, I'm sorry I puked in your sink that one year.
I feel like I heard about that.
You have probably heard about that a great many times, because to this day, every time I see Cody Leedy, I apologize to him for that, because I feel fucking awful to this day. It clogged, Bash. I woke up to that in the morning and felt like garbage in multiple ways. But anyway, no, New Year, for me, usually, I like to just sort of look back at the 365, occasionally 366 years or days that I'd just gone through. You know, we don't really take time to look at life while it's going by. Everything moves at such a breakneck pace anymore.
Yeah.
And as I've discovered, that only gets fucking worse the older you get.
Absolutely.
So, you know, in the same way that, like, you know, you should show love to your romantic partner every day, but we kind of set aside Valentine's Day for that to be like a big deal. You should be thankful for what you have every day, but we set aside Thanksgiving for that to be a big deal. I like to use New Year's Eve, or in this case, it was yesterday where I kind of sat down and really thought about things. I like to use that as a time to actually digest everything that had happened. Good, bad, otherwise memorable.
Kind of like a year in review.
Kind of, yeah. And then to, you know, tie it back to the resolution thing, I agree that the typical New Year's resolution, it's just sort of fiddle faddle. You know, it's candy floss for the mind. But at the same token, I do use New Year's as an opportunity to set goals for myself. Like, a lot of them being like, here's what I want to accomplish this year. And is that really that different from a resolution? Just a different paint of coat?
I feel like, okay, this is my take on it. But before I go there, you had said something, and I want to split off and do a sidebar story in similarity to what you were saying about clogging Cody's sink or what have you. There is a contingent of MWO people that are going to hear this, and it's going to take them back to this particular night. I had a big Christmas party for the roster at my house in Davison. This was, Jesus, 2010, 2011, something like that. Like, the house was packed. The majority of the roster was there. And there was a number of different, because in my basement, there was a bar in there. Like, there was a bar that had been built in there, and you know, fully stocked, man. Like, we went all out for this.
It's in this moment that a lyric from Hotel California plays in my head. This could be heaven, or this could be hell.
Well, for one particular individual, one package Andrew Steele.
Oh no! How did I know this was going to be a package story?
So a couple of things happened with poor package on that night. You'll appreciate these stories. Number one, he clogged the shitter upstairs. I was downstairs in the basement hosting. I was behind, I was bartending and, just hanging out with everybody that was downstairs. Like I said, there's a lot of people there. Some were up, some were down. Dark Star Logan, Bertie Shagnon, comes downstairs. Now, at this point in the evening, we had all been there and had been drinking and whatnot for several hours. Bertie comes downstairs just completely shit-faced, but he's laughing so hard he cannot open his eyes. Like, he just cannot stop laughing. And, like, I have never seen him laugh that hard before. I'm like, what is so goddamn funny? He says, Andy has clogged your shitter and we can't get it unstuck. It looks like... I will never forget this. It looks like the Titanic is... is bobbing out of the Atlantic Ocean. Just kind of going, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, the plunger's, he's like, we've tried the plunger. We can't do it. So I go upstairs, and Andrew is sitting on the floor with the plunger, red face, sweating, just trying to get this motherfucker down. But it is at this moment that I realize what the problem is. He doesn't have the round part of the plunger over where it has to be. It's like up against the side of the inner of the toilet. So he's not even I'm not even really sure how he was seeing. He must have been like that fucked up where he was seeing triple and thought he was going for the one in the middle.
Oh my
so
God.
There's that. So I go in there and fix everything's fine. I'm like, come downstairs, and he is shit faced. And he comes downstairs. Now, insert ex-convict.
Oh boy. Oh no.
All right, cup of tea, as it were. Now, Jim had a water bottle.
Uh-huh.
But it wasn't water that was in this particular bottle. It was vodka.
Oh, thank God. I thought that steel had clogged that too.
No. But Andrew comes downstairs, and he sits on the couch down there, and he's like, I need some water. Says it to Jim. Jim hands him the quote-unquote water bottle. Andrew, now, Jim thought it would be funny because he imagined that, you take one sip, realize this ain't fucking water, right?
Oh, no.
And he didn't do this. He took the water bottle and started chugging it. Like what was a full water bottle. By the time he got done, the line was like right here.
Oh, fuck.
I mean, before we could even realize what was happening. And we immediately grabbed the trash bag or the trash can, put it next to the couch, laid his ass down, and covered him up for the night.
Valid.
Sidebar, and this is a personal victory for me. The Steel Twins are, I mean, to their core, University of Michigan fans, right?
Uh-huh.
I am not. I am a Michigan State guy. So I have a picture of the package Andrew Steele, all cuddled up, nice and secure, with my Michigan State blanket.
You know what? That's what he gets for declaring war on your fucking porcelain throne.
I feel like this is the same night that Jack Price passed out underneath our Christmas tree.
I love that.
It was a party for the ages. And when it pops up on Facebook memories every year, it just makes my heart smile. And it was that night, man. Like, it wasn't in a show atmosphere. It was very, dialed back, low key. We got to actually enjoy each other as individuals and not as performers or whatever role they facilitated for the organization.
Yeah.
So it kind of ties into like your puking story. That's my fun party story. But the underlying thing here is we had that opportunity to enjoy one another. Right. And I haven't been able to do anything like that since then. And that's why MWO has been closed down. It's been well documented. And, this year, part of my goals is to put that final bow on it. I'm not going to go into it. You could go on to the Clouse and the Heart show or the Real podcast. We talk about it there. But my take on you said resolutions versus goals, a different paint of coat. And I know people are going to get that like, what the fuck? He just totally messed that up. No, that's how I meant to say it. If you know, you know.
Well, you know.
Yeah. I look at it from a different mindset. If I set a goal on something, It's because that is something that I am invested in. I took the time to make plans or to come up with a course of action, and it's something that I am legitimately dialed into, and therefore I am going to put even more emphasis to make sure that that's a success. Because if I put the resolution tag on it, if something doesn't go my way, or I get hung up, or I get knocked off the path a little bit, it would be real easy, because I've done it, to just completely abandon it. Well, that's one resolution that did not come true. I gave myself a back door out in the face of adversity with a goal, because it's a different mindset. And I realize it's one word versus the other. There are people that make resolutions with the understanding or the same credence that I put into quote unquote goals. I understand that. But by and large, if I put the goal tag instead of a resolution tag, it's getting 100% of my thought, effort, and everything into it. Right? I mean, that's just how I look at it. What about you?
I can definitely understand that. I am very much of the belief that language and the way that it is used does have a certain strength to it. So the idea of the mindset that you have going into it, like, that makes perfect sense to me. That's completely valid.
Yeah, I mean, I had been talking about that for the last couple of years. It was when I did my first stage show in Frankenmuth in 2020. That was the basis of it, and first time I'd ever done anything like that. MWO was still in existence, but it was winding down. This was my first attempt at motivational speaking, and after that show, I had a couple of people come up to me. One I knew, one I did not, and said, "Man, thank you for putting it in that context," because having heard that, now they have a different mindset going into it. And as a follow-up, the one that I didn't know gave me an update a year later, and they had maintained their quote-unquote resolution or goal and was exceeding far beyond what they thought they could, because they approached it with a different mindset. And knowing that something that I had said had triggered that, I mean, I was like, okay, I made that much of a difference in one person. So maybe I'm onto something here. That was 4 years ago. And the podcast was only an idea. Now this is the 8th show on our itinerary. No, 9th show on our itinerary. I had a goal. It would take me 5 years to get at least one show on every day of the week. Now, we have enough shows on this network where a couple of days are getting multiple shows dropped at midnight. So I consider that a win.
Oh yeah, that's a huge fucking win. By the way, sorry whoever shares the day with me. I really hope it's like one of the polar opposite of me.
Well, let's see, what would that be? The polar opposite of this. I don't know, Pope, because I feel like there's a common theme with any of the shows on the network. Well, maybe not Turnbuckle Time Machine, because that's more of a nostalgia show. And I guess Power Tripping through the 80s is more or less a nostalgia show. But at the end of the day, every single person that records for this network, there is an underlying extension of who they are fundamentally. Just they're given these platforms. The volume is turned up. What we're getting is real people in real time with real thoughts, real emotion. Yeah, like our personas may be turned up a little bit for entertainment purposes, but you are who you are to your core. I am who I am to my core. What you see here, what you hear here, is very much what you would hear or see if you ran into me at Meijer. or if we were going to the theater or something like that. I may not talk as loud or as boisterously, but my core thoughts and feelings and opinions does not waver based on trying to get a few more clicks. Well, I don't believe in this, but I'm going to say it in order to spark controversy. No, because if I did that, and I feel like you're very much like this too, we now become disingenuous, and we start to get away from who and what we are. And if if that was to lead to any kind of success, we will continue, and furthermore, we will distance ourselves from who we are in favor of being a success. Well, here's my thing on that. If you can't be successful on who and what you are, then any success that you achieve is on borrowed time. Because at the end of the day, it ain't real. It ain't authentic. It's manufactured. What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, you basically summed it up perfectly. Especially in the digital age that we find ourselves in. The internet demands authenticity. Whatever it is that you're doing on here, if you want it to be successful, you need to be authentic. You need to be yourself. The internet is uniquely trained to be able to sniff out phony bullshit and get rid of it in pretty quick form. Beyond that, look, man, I've tried my whole life to be something else. Unfortunately, this is just who I am. I don't have the time, energy, or effort to try and bullshit and act like I'm anything else. I might not be the exact same way at Meyer as I am on the show, but that's because I have awful social anxiety. I don't want to fucking be at Meyer. And I had something. That was going to be the profound bit. That was going to be the part that was going to make people hit the subscribe button, and it's just gone out of my head now, so that's great.
Why? Okay. Let me ask you this: Are you good with you? Are you good with who and what you are now? Because you just got done saying that you spent a significant amount of time trying to be somebody else. Is that a self-esteem thing? Is that because you were told that you weren't good enough in your true and pure form, and you were trying to find a persona to dive into because you got some sort of positive reinforcement? Where are you at here and now?
I mean, my life traditionally has been dominated by a vicious cycle of masking who I am. It was around the time where I did that first Clouse to the Heart with you. That was either shortly after I had gotten into therapy or right before I had gotten into therapy. I was with this incredible woman named Allie for a year, who really helped me unpack a lot of shit, figure out a lot of shit. More importantly, figure out how to deal with shit. I have this issue where I'm extraordinarily self-aware. I could tell you exactly what's wrong with me in every aspect that you point at. That was part of the trauma that I had to deal with growing up. Every single mistake I ever made, every single flaw I had was there was a microscope put on it. So eventually,
By who?
My mom's ex-husband, put it bluntly. My former stepdad. He was. The older I've gotten, the more I realized that he was a reflection of the trauma that he had to deal with. So my opinion on him has softened a great deal. I can still say dude was not a great father, at least not to me. And I internalized a lot of that for years until I finally had someone who I could sit down with and be like, here's what's wrong with me. And they could go, I agree, have you considered this part of it? And I could go, oh, no, I haven't. To go back to answer your question, I'm okay with me today. I have it's kind of, you ever have like a celebrity or an artist, like a musician or something, where you might not be the biggest fan of them, but you get it?
Sure.
It's about where I'm at with me. On my worst days, I at least get it. Like it used to be, I don't understand what the appeal is with me. In 2024, I see it. I'm fucking hilarious. I have a heart made of gold. People are trying to steal my heart to sell it. It's awful. I have to run so frequently, and I'm so large, so it's hard. Anyway, I wish I could describe the look on Bash's face while I went through that little tirade. It was just confused bewilderment.
No, it wasn't confused. And if this gets uploaded to the YouTube channel, they will see it. But
Fair.
I make no mistake about it. Even though we did the open the way that we did, and we said, look, there's going to be things that we are not going to agree on, but there's that foundation of love and admiration and respect for one another.
Absolutely.
And you've always been one of those guys that I have kept on my radar, because I knew even before we had a conversation about it, even before we got you were brand new into the Michigan wrestling organization, but like it did not take me long to figure out on the surface what was happening with you. And when things like that come across my radar, I take a very vested interest. Like this is a good dude. There is such a heaviness and a darkness to him that I cannot shake. And I know the self-esteem thing, in subsequent conversations that you and I have had, both privately and publicly.
Mm-hmm.
I know the self-esteem challenges, we'll call them, has always been a thing with you. And I can relate to that, Pope, because I am not, for the longest time, I was not very confident in my abilities because I have a speech impediment, or because I started losing my hair, or like I don't have bright ass Rex Ryan type teeth. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like there's a number of different things that I can pinpoint that I am not happy with. But a lot of things like the speech impediment, there's not a goddamn thing I can do about it to completely eradicate it. I just had to retrain my thought process on how to tackle it. Do I still get hung up? Absolutely. But
Of course.
I also realized, after a lot of different trials and tribulations and things of this nature, like I realized what my self-worth is. And that's kind of part of why I started the entire brand that has become the PFC network, because I know I'm not the only one that needs to be reminded from time to time that, yeah, okay, things may not be ideal, but you're still a good dude. And you still provide something that nobody else in this world provides. We are all individualized. We are all special in our own ways. And I hate the fucking fact that there is so much emphasis put on the superficial part of a person's identity that they don't take the time to get to know the person themselves, because the most beautiful people in the world are among the most evil douchebags that are in of existence. Whereas the most beautiful people that are truly walking God's green earth isn't necessarily what they look like, but it's who they are on the inside. And I realize this sounds like I'm going on a flagship show rant, and I apologize for that. But you are somebody that is so unique. You have so much talent. You have so much potential. It's just a matter of getting you in front of the right eyeballs and within earshot of the right people, and they're going to dial in on what truly makes you special and why there is only one Pope Brandon Brownson. You need to get on board with that, because, like, I'm here for it. There's only one you, brother. And that's good enough because you are a blessing in a lot of people's lives. You just don't realize it. And it's because you have been treated in such a way and you have been told these things over the course of your life that is dominant because that is what rings in your ears. And it has made you question every aspect of who and what you are. Am I good enough? Or why is this not happening for me? Oh, it's because so and so said this. Maybe that's true. Fuck all of that. These motherfuckers could not lace your shoes at the end of the day. They cannot do what you do. They do not have your point of view. They do not have your sense of humor. And generally what happens is when they see people like that achieve some degree of success or they're making the needle move, it's triggering something in them that makes them realize that they're fucking up their own existence. And instead of putting that time and effort into trying to figure out how to get themselves on the right path, it's easier to condemn somebody else by exploiting some degree of weakness or doubt that they know is in the recesses of your brain. And that shit needs to stop now. I'm done with my rant. Sorry.
You are A-okay. First of all, I appreciate you. Folks at home, if you've never been on the receiving end of a Jason Clouse pep talk, let me fucking tell you how hard my cock is right now. I can fuck the world. Boy, which part of that do I start to dissect first?
I just gave you a lot to unpack, and I apologize.
I just got hit with a full-on promo, brother.
You really did.
Shit was amazing. My God. I'm gonna go hug my mama after this. I guess the one part that I can touch on, without having to think too much about it, is that whole, to kind of paraphrase, when you started taking yourself seriously, you could fucking do shit. It's kind of the goal with 2024, man. Pope's been dormant for a really long time. He's getting itchy. He wants to do shit again. And Brandon's finally at the point where he's ready to chaperone the guy around again. It's a huge chunk of the reason why I was so excited to hop on this with you. You're someone who I know for a fact I can build something with. It'll be fun. It'll be productive. Shit'll happen. Which is weird in its own little way, just trying to overcome the last of the little mental blocks that I still have set up in my mind there, but whole other can of worms.
Have you identified what those blocks are?
Just those last remnants of, self-doubt. You don't deserve this. You're not good enough for this. The one that, is kind of the loudest in my head is you're rusty. And that's something that I didn't really have to deal with it until suddenly I had to deal with it. I've been doing shit since I was like 15 years old. And then come like 2018, 2019, I'm just burned out. I'm not doing shit anymore. Come 2021, I start getting the itch and I'm rusty, and I never experienced that because I never let myself rest like that. So I guess having to now that I'm like really doing shit again, like I'm actively planning out music stuff, I'm getting myself more out there, I'm advertising the podcast I'm on more, I'm on this podcast now, I've got all sorts of other shit that I could be doing, plans in the works, but, getting back into the grind of it, when you've been, an object in motion will stay in motion. An object that isn't in motion doesn't really want to go into motion without that push. It's just trying to get over that, last little hurdle in my head, get that last push out the door. Because the second I know I catch it, the second I catch a hill, we're good. I'm gonna wreck this shit. I'm gonna make this shit my bitch. We're about this shit. You think you know about this shit, brother? We're shitting. It's just getting over that last little bit and throwing myself into it head first. And it's a lot of what this is for me, the Potato Pals perspective. This is me throwing myself back out there head first.
It is not lost on me that this show and your involvement in the network is a pivotal part of that. And, I know we've talked about this. And I know with you and I, it doesn't even need to be said. You've worked with me long enough. You know me on a professional level. You know what my drive and what my motivation is when we do things of this nature. Before it was in the professional wrestling business, now we've we've moved into this realm of entertainment.
Indeed.
And I feel like for both of us, this kind of entertainment is, we were made for this at the end of the day. This is what brings out our greatest assets. At least that's what I've been told in terms of, my presentation. Like I have a real hard time with compliments, but that's something that I'm trying to work on, because I have gotten so many backhanded compliments that I don't trust anybody when they say, "Hey, you're doing good," or "I really like that," or this, that, and the other thing. I'm like, yeah, you're just talking shit just to talk shit.
I can definitely sympathize.
But I now at this point, I just if it's disingenuous or not, I'm going to allow that to filter into my head, like, regardless. Something I did registered a response.
Yeah.
Whether it's genuine or not. They took the time and the effort and the energy to tell me something. So I'm going to allow that to know, hey, I did something that triggered some degree of a response. Mm-hmm. They could have gotten that from any other realm of entertainment, podcast, video, what have you. Doesn't matter. So I say that to say, for me, and I feel like for you too, everything that we have been through individually that has chipped away and helped shape and mold who we are to our core, good, bad, and ugly, because everybody has all three. Some, some may be more than others when you break it down into three columns like that. But it has all played a part into the here and now, into who we are here and now. And you and I have more than paid our dues. We've paid our dues for any shortcomings or mistakes or anything along those lines. And I have maintained, and I've been saying for a couple of weeks now, 2024 is going to be our Wayne's World year. You know what I mean when I say that? Are you familiar?
I am very familiar with the film Wayne's World.
Okay.
That was a staple of my childhood. I'm just curious what you mean in this. I totally understand, but why don't you explain to the audience what you're talking about?
What I'm talking about, if you're not familiar with Wayne's World, the movie, not the skits on SNL, the actual movie, essentially, the premise is these two guys have a public access TV show that comes across the radar of a network executive that are interested in expanding their footprint in that genre. I feel like that's what's happening with this network this year. Somebody or an individual or an entity is going to take notice into one or more aspects of what we're doing here, and they're going to help us put some muscle behind the hustle, for the lack of a better term. And the people will be like, "Oh, you said that backwards." No, I didn't. I know what the fuck I say. You know what I mean? Um, we are going to register, and we are on the cusp. I can't explain it, Pope. I just feel it in my bones. We are on the doorstep of something fucking huge. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it looks like. But what I can tell you is the receptors are on. My eyes are darting back and forth. Where is that door of opportunity? Because as soon as I see a sliver of it, man, I ain't knocking. I'm not asking for permission. I'm kicking the motherfucker in. And all of us are walking in side by side. You, me, Sean, Amy, Kristen, Joanna, Cherry, Ray, it doesn't matter. If they have a spot at the PFC network table, we are going places this year. And like there's a lot of things on the horizon. Like I have a list. It's somewhere on my desk here. There's a list of goals, short term, long term. This show is on the short term list, goal list. And look what the fuck we're doing. And anybody will say, well, anybody can start a podcast. Yes, you're absolutely right. Any asshole can start a podcast. But it takes something special to establish a brand. And even though we're all under the PFC umbrella, every show is its own individual brand. And I take that very seriously because you are counting on me to get this out there in the best possible way. And when all of us helping each other, you know, we are a franchise at this point. We are a force to be reckoned with. All of us as a collaborative effort, a collective effort. We are not to be fucked with. We are going to make noise. We are going to move the needle. And that would not happen, especially without Pope Brandon Brownson as a part of this thing. Straight up. Because what you bring to the table, nobody else does, Pope. And I'm going to have to lean on you from time to time with your knowledge and your expertise and things that I may not understand. I learn shit every single day. I kind of have to. That's my job here. But you have experience. And you cannot fake experience. That comes through hard work and dedication, heartbreak, triumphs, tragedies, all of it. You are the epitome of that. So that's why what you bring to the table is something that nobody else does in the network. It's something that I'm going to lean on. It's all of us as one, man.
I appreciate hearing that a great deal even. If I can just put you over for 2 seconds because you did mention how much you've built this fucking thing up, man. I wish I could tell you how excited I was when you told me that you were interested in starting up this fucking podcast thing, because I knew how hard you were gonna hit the ground running. Even then, even so, boy, howdy have you surprised me with this shit, my friend. Watching you grow this thing has been such a delight as a quiet advisor in the background. Even I can talk good largely until this point. And that's another thing. I have had a lot of people come to me asking for advice on shit. To the point where I kind of have cookie cutter responses for a lot of people. A lot of the advice is the same, and quite frankly, for every 50 people that ask me for advice, one of them's actually going to do shit with it, And you were definitely my 1 in 50 out of that 50. Like, you were humble enough to recognize that despite our age difference and despite the difference in power dynamic that we once shared, we're friends, but you were at a time my boss. You were humble enough to listen to everything I said. Use the shit of it that worked for you. You had the drive to actually take that and run with it. It's just been a fucking delight watching you. Like, to put him over real quick, Ray Jackson also, like, someone who's come to me for a lot of advice who's really fucking ran with it. Like, the two of you have been, like, those days where I give someone advice and I see them do the polar fucking opposite. It's thinking about, like, interactions like what I've had with you and Ray in this context that, like, makes it to where I keep bothering to talk to people about this shit, you know? It can be really disheartening sometimes. Disheartening, is that a word? It sounds like a word.
Yeah.
If it's not, it's a word now. Fuck it. If Willie Shakes can do it, so can I.
No, you're making perfect sense, and it is a word.
Cool. I'm not a language guy. I just talk for a living. I'm not a language guy. I'm just a rapper.
I feel like that's going to be a T-shirt over at our new online store that's going to be popping up here sooner rather than later over at cafepress.com/PFC Network.
I'm not a language guy. I just talk for a living. You're listening to Potato Pals, asshole.
That's fun. I appreciate the kind words, man, and like,
I owed you.
I know what your time is. Time is very valuable. I know what your knowledge is. That is invaluable. You can't put a price tag on that. So the fact that you take time to tell me something, you're goddamn right. I'm going to listen to it. And if it's something that I feel like I can utilize, absolutely. But the other thing is I will always credit you for it. If I get praised for something that was spawned by an idea from you or anybody else for that matter, but you especially, be like, hey, I mean, I did this with it, but it's because Pope said this, or he led me here, or he suggested that. This ain't a Jason Clouse thing. This is a Pope thing, you know. So go thank him. I just took it and put my own seasoning on it, for the lack of a better term. So,
I do appreciate that. I don't do it for the credit, but you know, it feels nice to get it.
That right there is part of the reason why you are as special as you are, because how many people do you and I both know, individually and mutually, that will take credit for anything and everything? They would take credit for creating the headlock if they thought that they could get away with it, you know, or that they created Post-its if they could get away with it. Okay, so the fact that, you know, that ain't you speaks volumes of your integrity and your heart and why you are part of this network family. And I realized with this pilot episode, we've kind of given a generalization of what's coming. I mean, we started to tiptoe a little bit into the weeds here or there along our initial journey here today, but make absolute no mistake about it, I have a lot of hope and anticipation for this show and the success and the people it's going to draw in, not only to entertain them, but maybe to educate them or to help them or in some way or another get their mindset off whatever fuckery that they may be dealing with on the regular. We do that, and we do not take that lightly. Is that, would you say that's accurate?
I'm not sure how much I believe in like grand purpose or life having an ultimate meaning. However, if it does have one, and we are in fact put on this earth for a reason, I'm here to entertain. And if I'm lucky, maybe get you to think. Sometimes you'll be thinking, I didn't know the human anus could spread that far, but you're still thinking now, aren't you?
Goodness gracious. Well, this is why I'm looking forward to this show. Because nobody else is going to say shit like that. Because that right there is either it solicited a chuckle, but people are thinking about it and they're going to tell somebody else. And then they're going to be like, you got to listen to this guy.
To circle back earlier, when I said it would be hysterical if I was placed against whatever my polar opposite would be on the network, it is comments like that I was thinking of when those words came out of my mouth. whatever your squeakiest, cleanest show is, imagine if 3 hours later you had me popping up joking about horse cum. I got to watch you think about that and contemplate it, and that was such a moment of beauty.
I was just, well, at first I was thinking, what show is this going to, what day is this going to drop on? What show is this going to team up with? And initially I thought, say what, on Monday. Actually, I think it's going to be say what. I think it's going to be Monday. So.
Wonderful. We can brand it as Manic Depressive Mondays.
Oh,
50-50 shot. I'm going to be one or the other.
I don't know. I'm going to have to sit here and actually think, because I know Friday we got the Heat vent with Levi Blue. That's a 30-minute show generally.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like I mean, it's either going to drop on Fridays or it's going to drop on Mondays. I feel like that's where we're going to go here.
Welcome to Potato Pals. It's like the Heat vent of Levi Blue actually lived the gay gimmick.
Jesus Christ.
I have been cooking that joke up for a week, just waiting, putting the right amount of seasoning on it. I wrote out like 4 versions of that joke. I'm kind of ashamed to admit that.
No, it's cool, man. It's cool. I appreciate it.
True, well, why don't we... that should not have taken ink and paper. A tree died for me to make that joke.
Well, I can't wait for old Levi to hear that, because he listens to every single thing we do. Every single show he listens to. So I'm curious to get his feedback. He may be doing a run-in over on this show at some point or another. So that will be a fun dynamic.
Oh, I'm just waiting for when we start to get fucky with the crossovers, sticking me with various people. Me and Levi, that's going to make sense. That's going to fit in perfectly. It's the weird picks that's going to be great.
Right. Well, listen. We have people from all walks of life here at the PFC Entertainment Network, but that's what makes it so special. So,
people from all walks of life, me from a particular waddle of life. Because I'm obese.
Come on. Come on.
It's true.
Well, listen, I mean...
The last time I saw my penis, I was in a past life, Bash. It's the main reason I'm trying to lose weight. I just want to look down, look him in the eye, and say hello. Thank you for your service, young man. You have been in the trenches, and I appreciate you.
I feel like this is going to make the transition into next week's episode, so that's fun. Maybe that will be the gimmick, is we'll do something at the end of every episode that will make the transition to the next week, unless something monumental comes up in between there that we absolutely have to take time to discuss. Because in an ever-changing world, man, there's no telling what's going to come across the headlines or come across our radar. But whatever it is, if it moves the needle, we're going to talk about it here on the Potato Pals perspective. So as we go ahead and put a bow on this pilot episode, is there anything that you would like to say in closing that would kind of encompass everything of what we're doing here? Any other plugs or anything of this nature that you want to throw out real quick?
Well, to just once again say it, I am super happy to be sitting here doing this with you. I am super excited that my getting back out there journey is beginning with you at my side. How could shit possibly go wrong?
Depends on who you ask.
Yeah, well, fuck them. In fact, I just might. I just might fuck their daddies. I don't give a shit. I'm crazy. Anyways, if you want to check me out, first of all, why would you after everything I've just said? But if you do, on Twitter, I'm at Brandon Brownson. On Spotify, I'm at Pope Brandon Brownson. Check out my superhero podcast, Masks and Mayhem. I play an aging vigilante who suffers from the sad. Do I have anything else to plug? Tip your waitresses. They're working so hard. They didn't fuck up your order. That was the chef. You wait in the parking lot and you beat them with a tire iron like a normal human being. Tip your fucking waitress.
With that, we will go ahead and put a bow on this week's episode. We appreciate everybody tuning in for this debut edition of this brand new endeavor here under the network. And we have all kinds of great shows here on the PFC Entertainment Network. Head over to clousetotheheart.net and get the rundown of everything that if it's something of interest or something that you may be dealing with or whatever, I would be willing to bet that we are offering something of a companion piece that will either make you laugh or give you some sort of a distraction for a moment or two from whatever it is that you're dealing with. We are here to have our voices heard. We are here to let everybody know that in a vast world where a lot of times we feel like we may be on our own and there's nobody on our side, that is not the case here at the PFC Entertainment Network. So with that, go out this week, be awesome to yourselves and to each other, and we'll see you next time right here on the Potato Pals Perspective on the PFC Entertainment Network.
If you don't tip your motherfucking waitress, boy.